On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Introducing the new Volvo XC90 with 7-seat versatility, Google built-in, and advanced safety features for all your precious cargo. The new Volvo XC90, designed for life. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more.
It doesn't go into the depth that you want it to, and I think it's story and script, I think, is where this one fails, because I agree. The production design is incredible. It looks beautiful. The costuming is wonderful. Florence Pugh in particular looks amazing. All of that's really good. So actually, it's very nice to look at. You know, it's very enjoyable to watch, but it's frustrating, is how I would describe it.
There is just something about watching it that is enjoyable, even though it's just so frustratingly baffling.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Today I'm joined by Katie.
Hello!
Liz.
Hi!
And Helen.
Hello!
And we're going to be talking about Don't Worry, Darling. Thank you as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes, and thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio and the team there for editing this podcast. Please do remember to head over to Spotify and give us a rating. Head over to Apple Podcasts, give us a rating. Head over to Pocket Cast, give us a rating there. Just copy the same review and leave it all a few places. Join the conversation with us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod and all the other social media platforms. That's Threads, that's Blue Sky, that's Instagram at FlixWatcher. We are kind of on TikTok, but we don't know what our handle is. But if you type in FlixWatcher, you'll find us.
Hello film fans, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher Pod. Our guests today are Katie and Liz. Over to you please, Katie, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hello, I am the co-deputy editor of Filmhounds and also one of the co-hosts of the Filmhounds podcast. That's by night, and then by day I work in film sales and distribution.
We've had some Filmhounds people on here before.
Oh yeah, we get around.
You're more than welcome, Filmhounds peoples. Tell us about Filmhounds.
Well, we're an indie magazine as well as a website. Probably should have said those the other way around because the website came first. Yeah, so we're a fun group of writers and editors where we just cover reviews, interviews, and now podcasts as well, where we just chat about film, really. One of the sayings that one of my co-hosts, Paul, always says, we're for film fans, by film fans. He's probably going to hate me for saying that, but that's what someone said about Filmhounds. But yeah, we're an independent film magazine, and we're so independent, we're all voluntary, basically. Oh. So we're doing it for the love of film, but we're also all writers as well. So we have commissions from other places, but we always come back to Filmhounds as like our home to roost. If that makes sense.
Where films come home to roost. Lovely. Well, cheers, Katie. So, yeah, it's good to have more Filmhounds people on here. Let's head over to you, Liz. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Liz Slade. I'm a very big film fan. I go to the cinema multiple times a week. I have an embarrassing number of film memberships. I think it's about 8.
What? Hold on. What? How many? What do you mean by film memberships? Do you mean like cinema cards or subscriptions for TV?
Yeah, cinema memberships, the Prince Charles Picture House, Everyman, etc.
Wow.
So I go to the cinema a lot. I go to a lot of special screenings and Q&As. Basically, love film. I'm a lawyer in my day job, but film is where I spend my free time at cinema.
Have you heard of Charlotte Sometimes? Charlotte Harry?
I don't think so.
Because she is like yourself, but she's like a teacher by day, film lover by night. She's been on here a couple of times. So seek her out, Charlotte Sometimes. So there are a few people like yourself who are day job, but to alleviate the boredom of the day job.
They're like movie Batmans.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, check her out. Charlotte Sometimes. She's on Instagram. So as someone to join forces with, maybe. Batman and Robin of part-time film.
Why not?
Film. I'm intrigued by this 8 memberships because...
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of work.
I'm pretty sure there's 8. I did count them up not long ago. Some of them are like the Prince Charles's lifetime.
Okay.
And then, some of them are monthly ones like the Odeon and so.
I mean, there's a lot of cinema brands in London to get kind of like the full spectrum and to make the most of those special screenings and things. Like some of the Prince Charles ones, I'm like, I really should get a membership because I keep missing out on these member specials. So it's, you got to have them all, kind of like Pokemons.
Yeah, it's actually surprisingly easy to go to these really cool Q&As. If you are sort of on the mailing lists and you're sort of on it, once you sort of start joining, then you get all the notifications and suddenly the world opens up and there's a million different ones you can go to. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest, I wouldn't say regrets, but the thing I miss out most from not living in London anymore is such and such directors still turning up to do a Q&A tomorrow, and I'm like, well, there's no way I can get there, even though I got the email as it landed in my inbox and I could have reserved the seat. Maybe I should just reserve the seats anyway and like take it out of spite so someone else can't take it. So, Liz, you've chosen Don't Worry Darling. Can you tell us first of all why you chose it, and then give us your 60-second synopsis? They might be tough for this film, but give it a go. So why did you choose Don't Worry Darling?
Sure. So I watched this in the cinema when it came out, and I remember enjoying it, but also that it's not a perfect film and it has flaws. And I thought it would be really interesting to rewatch it again now that I sort of knew what it was all about. So that's the reason I chose it, and just to also see what I thought about it, watching it again after it had been a few years. In terms of sort of brief synopsis of what the film is about.
Yeah. Synopsis, timer starts now.
So the film's about a woman living in a 1950s suburban utopia where everything is perfect, but things are actually not quite as they seem. That's about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, great.
It's a very broad sort of overview, but I think that's sort of it in a nutshell.
We'll dig deep there, I'm sure. Helen, have you seen this before?
I have, yes. I went to the cinema to see this. I'm a big Florence Pugh fan and thought it looked interesting from the trailers and became embroiled in the behind the scenes and the chaotic press tour and all of the other stuff that had nothing to do with the film but played out alongside it. And yeah, I agree with you, Liz. Somewhere in here is a really good, interesting film. But there's a lot of stuff in here that shouldn't be in here and a lot of choices that shouldn't have happened. And yeah, there's a lot going on in it. Harry Styles' Yorkshire accent. I mean, he goes into a world where you can be whoever you want and he's going to have a Yorkshire accent in this America's suburbia. That's just one of the insane things that happens in this film.
Where's he from, Harry Styles? I know super little about him. So he's not from where?
Cheshire?
Is he? Hold on. I'm from Cheshire. I would know if he's from around here.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I like his music. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's a great musician.
Hey, Watermelon Sugar. Hi.
Yeah. Some great...
I saw him in concert, so yeah.
Great tunes. This is not the movie for him. But anyway.
Is any movie for Harry Styles?
I don't know. Maybe not. No, maybe not if you're dating the director. He's
in Dunkirk, and he has a small scene in Dunkirk, which he was decent in, I thought.
It was small, and then he disappeared.
Small role.
Which is perfect.
So yeah, we've got lots to talk about on this one.
Okay. What was the Filmhounds' opinion of Don't Worry Darling?
I think we slated it. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I apologise to the writer, whoever wrote the review, but I do recall us not thinking much of it. So I was actually pretty excited. I'm a fan of Olivia Wilde, so I was like, you know what? Her directing this, great. But when I went to the cinema, my heart sank because it was basically me and my other half and then like 17 teenage girls.
Right.
And like from the trailers, I was like, this is not what they're expecting. They're obviously here for just Harry Styles, but I was expecting some kind of like science fiction, psychology, like thriller or something. And I got really worried when I saw all these girls like going before us, and it was just them and us in the cinema. But yeah, my first impressions were I was excited, and I came out just like, huh? Oh, okay, we're going to go with that. Okay. But yeah, I think it takes a long time to digest it, I think.
Or does it, though? Because when I watch a film when there's a lot to digest, it's typically because the execution has been executed to exactly what it wants to be, and that was well thought out and well planned and had a point. This seems to me that lots of stuff was tried. Stuff might have ended up on the cutting room floor. I don't think the final product is what it wanted to be. So in retrospect, I'm thinking about it going, there's a better film in and around this. There's a great film potentially in and around this, but this wasn't it. So I haven't really thought about it since then. I've just kind of gone, oh, well, I mean, I suppose it is what it is. It's like with The Snowman. It's like, there's such a better film with The Snowman.
Wait, the Ionesco one?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen it.
That film is horrendous.
But they didn't shoot all of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure they shot all of this.
They shot like less than 80% of the film.
Yeah. The Snowman, Liz, is awful. But if you're looking for something that is so wild, you can't believe they released it, it's on a different level to this.
Yeah.
It's not good at all. Like, you'll just go, oh my God, what?
Yeah, it's horrendous. The reason why I think this one's hard to digest is because of those reasons.
Yeah.
The fact that it doesn't feel like it's complete. There's something else going on. There is stuff that's definitely missing. But that's why I felt like I had to sit back and go, like, let me just try and piece this together. Is that what they're going for? But I think my personal conclusion was this is actually not as in depth as it wanted to be. And it was actually a very simplistic and basic plot, packaged in a very beautiful shot. Well, I thought it was beautifully shot, beautifully done. The production design is definitely most of the film. And it's just everything is hiding the fact that this is the basic of basic storylines.
And it's very high level, isn't it? It doesn't go into the depth that you want it to. And I think it's story and script, I think, is where this one fails. Because I agree. The production design is incredible. It looks beautiful. The costuming is wonderful. Like Florence Pugh in particular looks amazing. All of that's really good. So actually, it's very nice to look at. You know, it's very enjoyable to watch, but it's frustrating is how I would describe it, because it doesn't go to the depth that you want it to. There's so much that they could do sort of dealing with this misogyny, this sort of incel culture, which is what it kind of comes down to, but they never get there. Really, it doesn't sort of dives into it enough. It's sort of disappointing in that sense.
It sort of insinuates a lot of stuff, and you're just sort of like, okay, right, you're not going to spell it out, you're just going to insinuate and not label it completely.
There's a lot of insinuation, isn't there? But like almost too much. Like, I'm not saying you always need to spell everything out, but I think like it does need to go a bit deeper. And I think in particular, I don't want to jump ahead to the ending, but I think the ending is really unsatisfying. It's just so, like what? Like you just ended it like that? It's frustrating.
Yeah, needed more.
In my notes, I've got stupid ending.
Stupid ending? I was being kind.
It's also, we've got like an hour and 39 minutes before there's any kind of reveal as to what's going on. So like the setup takes forever. And we're very much like, yeah, we've got that. Like, yeah, we've got that. Like, when are you going to give us a bit more to kind of figure it out? And there's just so many things like, why are the eggs not real, but the steak is real? There's all those kind of like, what's it mean?
Well, sorry, just to point on the egg. Well, I was like, is that the first time she's realised the eggs are not real? Or is that just that batch of eggs? That's what really confused me with that bit.
Or is that the algorithm isn't working properly? There's like a glitch in kind of the simulation, or yeah, there's things like that. It's like, it's not explained. Like,
yeah,
nothing is explained apart from.
What about the plane crashing?
Yeah.
What does any of that mean?
Yeah,
what does it mean?
the plane.
What does the plane mean? I don't know what the plane means.
Why are there men everywhere in red jumpsuits chasing people? Like, what are these people? Are these people...
NPCs?
Are they like Harry Styles' people? Like, what?
With the plane thing, though, if that was just like a, Star of David's, the Christmas star, to like, that's what triggers her to go on the journey, which it kind of is, that's fine. And that was the only thing that was like, okay, she's gone there because something's happening in her brain, and that's kind of hardwired to go on this thing. But she goes there, finds the headquarters, and then nothing else happens as a result of it. And she says about the plane, and everyone kind of dismisses it. And then... So it's like it was a pointless flare within the system. And it's not like in The Matrix there's that glitch with cats. There's so many things in The Matrix, for example, where there's like a thing and it means something and you can go, okay, I can hook into that. But the plane happens, you're like, okay, fine. She gets off the trolley thing, goes to that weird dome place, which is supposed to be headquarters, and then nothing happens with that again. You can't, until the end. So it's just a pointless artifact.
Which is also the exit.
Yeah.
Is the plane connected to the kid? The kid had the plane...
Margaret's kid.
Yes, Margaret's kid has the toy plane. So is that connected to the plane that crashes?
I assume so, because they were both red planes. But they were trying to do a lot with that one kind of glance at the toy plane that's been pulled along.
But see, like when you were talking about the eggs, that kind of makes sense as a sort of glitch in the coding or something in terms of it being a sort of virtual reality world. But the plane doesn't really. And I think that's why that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like if the plane was sort of, if the sky fractured or something, there was something that sort of, hang on, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't feel like a real world. But the plane is just a bit confusing.
Like the Truman Show kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where the light falls down.
They need something to bring her attention to the headquarters. And they were like, how do we do this? Should we crash a plane?
Make her look that way.
Yeah, not like, I don't know, have a bird flying. Did you see any birds in this paradise?
There's no animals. So
yeah,
weird.
That's true. Just a few more things to make it, hang on, this isn't a real world. Like just to add a few more things that sort of make you think, well, this is a bit odd. This doesn't happen in normal life. Yeah, it's sort of missing a few of those, which I think is sort of script and story. Like I said, you needed someone to go through it more.
And be like, look at that.
So just to and what you guys are saying, is that it kind of feels like if you weren't paying attention and if you weren't kind of cine literate, this is a perfectly kind of like, okay, this is like a film set in the 50s. Things are a bit odd, but you don't, and you kind of take it for read. But because we are who we are, we're like,
We've
okay,
seen more than one film.
There's definitely a thing going on. But there are people who just generally haven't got. There's like people walk out of Pulp Fiction and go, that was out of order. That's a bit weird. I wonder if the projectionists have done it wrong. So there are generally people who watch films that way.
I think you're saying anyone who has any sort of critical thinking sort of skills, do they have that or not? Because you're right. I mean, a lot of people are probably like, oh, this was pretty good. Whereas we're like, hang on, there's issues here. And probably because we all think more about these kind of things too, don't we? But
that's true.
Had it had finished at 1 minute 30, as Helen said, and there was no kind of like smash cut to her as a surgeon and all these things happening after that, you could almost just think, oh, this is a bit of a pointless film, but ho-hum. But because it then does that so late in the day, you're kind of like, well, what the hell was going on? Before that, what the hell was going on before that, like 90 minutes into the film? Which, I mean, 2 hours for this film is very long.
It's very long for a film that is basically like, she's
vibe.
drugged and switched up to a machine. Figure out the bits that don't make sense yourself. We're not explaining it. Cars explode.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping for it to be a cult.
Well, it kind of is a cult in a way, isn't it? But not just explicitly a cult.
Yeah. That's what I mean, where it's just a basic storyline and a massive rip-off of the Stepford Wives, which it homages it and also rips it off. But yeah, sorry, I forgot what my thought was going to be. Sorry.
I think that's like the film.
If you're really into this film and want to learn more about it, a previous guest podcast, Going Rogue, they've covered it.
Yep.
And the original script, I can't remember the exact years, but the original script is really, really different in terms of like the characters, the order of it, like the whole story. Like if you're wanting to kind of know what it started as, how it ended up like this, I really recommend it because it's fascinating about how the script kind of started and its journey that it went on and everything, because it was on like the blacklist, the list of all those like hot scripts. It was one of those that had been around for ages. But yeah, I mean, then with all the casting changes and all of that as well, I'm waiting for the documentary. I will be seated for the behind the scenes on this, because the whole thing about it.
Do you think this will be the worst one though? Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening, and just to double down what Helen said, Tansy Gardner, who came on before with Going Rogue, she spent like 90 minutes breaking down this film, and the Blacklist. Yeah, the original script was written by the Van Dyke brothers, who are Dick Van Dyke's grandkids.
That's right. Yes, I remember.
Which is quite interesting to start off with. But they're both brothers, so this female-led story was written by two guys, which was part of why it lent into an area. So when Olivia Wilde picked it up, she was like, we need to obviously have a more of a female lens on it. But then a few key things in that story and the subsequent version of the script, which wasn't the shooting script, was that the reveal of it being a weird place happened at like the turn of Act 1, so like 30 minutes into the film. That's when they would like reveal that she's not in the 1950s. She's like in a whatever simulation. So that then brings people into a different place, like straight away, well, earlier on. But this version of the film leaves it till like the third act, and then suddenly it ramps up into this thing where suddenly loads of people being killed. Her husband and Chris Pine, who we haven't talked about, which is just a weird performance anyway. And then the film finishes, and you're kind of like, well, I don't know what's happening here. So I feel that if they at least kept the reveal to be earlier in the film, it would have made sense more in the story.
Yeah, there would have been more room to explore that whole story and go into a bit more depth about it, and then you would have more of the sort of undercovering the misogynistic elements and the
super gaslighting.
Yeah, the gaslighting and that, and you could go into more detail there. Whereas you're right, they leave it so late that it's, like I said, it's unsatisfying. They don't get to sort of delve into that.
It doesn't feel like a twist. It feels like a really lame payoff.
I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like Harry Styles is then killed too soon. It would have actually been
after
better.
the reveal happened.
Yeah, after the reveal, and then he gets hit over the head with a glass, and then he's dead, and then you're like, oh, and then now she's got to escape. But like, it would have actually been better if he was trying to drag her back into the world. This is my thought, and that happened right at the end, that she pushed him off the cliff, something like that, rather than, I don't know, it felt slightly anticlimactic. She's escaping this guy who's basically kidnapped her, plugged her into this simulation, made her be this sort of Stepford wife, and then she finds out, and then within 5 minutes he's dead, and you're like, well,
it's not satisfying.
In terms of how thrillers normally progress, there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Yeah.
You need explanation from him more than just like, you were really overworked and, I want to make you happy by attaching you to a machine. But you need...
that's what spas are for, like, book a spa weekend, like, honestly.
Yeah. It seems to be weird, like, his only solution was she's working full-time as a doctor. He's unemployed.
A doctor? And he was totally punching. He's a sort of unemployed loser who spends all his time listening to incels on the internet.
This is another thing. We also don't really know what he was doing before. We just know that he's unemployed and he's a slob, basically. And he's listening to incels on the internet. And he jumps from like, right, my girlfriend's really overworked. I know the solution is plug her into a machine, and then I'll go to work and then work my ass off and then resent her for having to do that. That
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make, the whole concept doesn't really make sense.
And I actually think we needed more of that world to make it more cohesive. There is such a small amount of that world. And I want to know more about it. Like, show us a little bit more about their lives and how this sort of all came about. It's too short, I think, in the context of what all this film is about, which is him putting her in that situation. They don't show enough of it.
What drives somebody to do this? And also, I actually had a small theory about, I don't know if it's a small theory about the newest couple that arrives. I think it's Violet, and I've forgotten the guy's name, but when they arrive, there's just something off about Violet. Like, she seems really nervous. She doesn't seem like she's comfortable there. And the guys are very mean to the guy, not really welcoming. My theory was that this couple isn't actually a couple, and they went on a few dates and he's basically kidnapped this woman. It's just the way she's being a bit skittish, whereas other couples seem a little bit more relaxed. It may be because they've been there for a number of years, but there's just something about how couples gel, and those two don't gel. I don't know.
That's really interesting, because I think you're
yeah.
right. There's something very odd about that, but they don't explore that at all. And actually, I would have really liked if they showed more of those women being liberated at the end, which they never go into at all. But, you know, when Florence Pugh says, the other women are like me, but then you never get to see what happens to any of them.
No. Do they get out? Are they stuck in that machine?
Out? Is it just her? But then, I wanted to know more there.
I found quite interesting, but again, it was too late in the day. One question was, do all the men, were they fully complicit? Did they fully exactly know what they were getting into by this system, by that they were going to live in this virtual world and they know exactly what's going on, but the women don't? But then also you had Olivia Wilde's character, she knew, but chose to go in there, which I thought was quite interesting, and I couldn't understand the reasons for it. But again, that was just too late in the day to kind of sympathise with her a bit, because it was just I'm here because reasons which make sense, but run, finish the film now.
Yeah, I know. I know. You're right.
Yeah, there's not enough time with each of the women. I was going to say there was another thing.
And Margaret as well. It's like,
yeah, I was going to say, Margaret, did she get out? Did she kill her husband when she got out? Yeah, there's no after effects or explanation. But because when we first see her, sorry to go back to the eggs, but the so-called glitch where she's crushing the eggs and okay, they're not real. If there's a glitch in the system, surely something is happening to every single one of the people, and they're also experiencing some weird glitch at the time that she is as well.
I feel maybe yes, maybe no, but I think the glitches might be different for each person. Margaret's glitch was the same. Was it Florence Pugh, wasn't it? Because it was the red plane. Those guys seem to have the red plane. But Olivia Wilde knew what was going on, so she didn't have the glitch.
Well, she probably did, and just went oh, okay.
Yeah, I just
glitch.
assumed it was Florence Pugh getting the glitch just because people's brains respond differently to these kind of things. I don't know.
But I think Margaret experienced something, and that's why she was then...
glitching first.
Yeah.
She was glitching first.
Guys, we can obviously keep on talking whilst we go through the scores, but anything else you want to say before we head through the scores?
No, but they also don't address the fact that Margaret died within the game, because when you find out when Harry Styles dies, that means he's died in real life.
Again, very late in the day.
Very late in the day, he's died in real life. But then Olivia Wilde's character doesn't really seem to care about that, even though she knows it's a simulation. She knows that Margaret is dead, but that's never addressed at all. There's so much of it that's sort of baffling.
There's a lot of plot holes.
So many plot holes.
Yes.
Yeah. But despite everything we've said, I still enjoyed watching it. I think I did, because it looks beautiful, and it's Florence Pugh. I think we haven't really talked about her much, but she's amazing. I think she's really good in this. She carries that whole film.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit of a joke about her at the moment, checking in on her back from the weight of carrying all of the films that she's in at the moment. Because, she is so good in everything and doesn't always have the quality of film to support her. So thank goodness for her.
Yeah, no, I don't know who else would really carry this film in the same way. I think if it was not as good an actor as her, then that would definitely decrease the quality of this particular film.
I can't remember who else was in line to play Florence Pugh's character, but we had Shia LaBeouf was initially going to play ended up being Harry Styles' guy. And I think that's I don't know. In terms of acting, a miss, but in terms of personality, that's a win, surely, for Harry Styles and the rest of the world. I still don't think, like we said, Florence Pugh's, her capability on the screen, Olivia Wilde's capability on the screen. Chris Pine, he played a weird character. It wasn't down to his poor acting. It was Nick Kroll in there as well. There's decent people on the screen. It just didn't tie together as a film, So...
I feel like Chris Pine was in a different film.
It's like when he walked in and them having sex, he's like, and then he walked out again. I was like,
I've seen what I need to see.
Yeah.
Great.
That's why the cult thing would have made sense.
Yes. that the cult at that point would have been like, they're all in a cult. This makes, I'd buy this,
Yeah,
you know?
you're right. They didn't address the simulation well enough, did they?
He's just a weird guy checking up on his employees or like, you know, puppets. I don't know. It's very odd. Yeah.
Subjects.
I liked him in this role, though. I liked Chris Pine. I thought he plays that part well in terms of that creepy kind of, yeah.
I mean, he plays it well, but what part is it? That's the...
Cult leader.
Cult leader. Yeah, he plays a cult leader well.
Yeah.
Let's head to scores. We'll keep on talking in scores.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
So welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. They are always out of 5 and you can have decimal places. And we'll start with you, please, Liz, because you picked it with your recommendability.
I'd say 3.5 because it's probably one of those films that I think it's worth seeing, especially because, as we've just shown, there's an awful lot to talk about. And it had such a big sort of presence in the media at the time. Everybody was talking about it largely, like we said, not just because of the film itself.
I also wonder about this. How many people were talking about it in the media? I know we had that Chris Pine, Harry Styles, did he spit on him bullshit thing.
Oh.
That was...
I genuinely don't know how big that was. Was that like massive, or was that...
That was a fun time on the internet.
That was a fraction of what was going on. Because there was the whole thing, obviously, Olivia Wilde left Jason Sudeikis for Harry Styles, so that was one thing. Then there was a whole thing about actually Harry Styles was sleeping with Florence Pugh first, and then that became a thing. Then there was that whole bit where she was doing her revenge outfit when she missed the press conference. And there's her doing like some social media stuff with this like really cool purple outfit, to be fair.
Yeah, it's to remember the purple outfit. Yeah.
So she missed the press junket. She no explanation. She just missed it, did that pose. Then that became a whole thing. Then obviously did he spit on Chris Pine? But yeah, there was so many different strands of it. I feel like the whole PR machine was going crazy, going, this is going to make us money, even if the film is shit.
Yeah.
The leaked voicemail as well.
Oh, God, yes.
What did she call her? Miss something or other? Yeah.
No, was it Miss Wilde? Oh, no.
Miss Flo or something, like
Flo.
Princess Flo, etc. But yeah, people were like starting to sleuth. They were like, normally Florence Pugh talks about all of her films and how much she enjoyed making it on her socials, and she's not mentioned this once. What does that mean? She put up a poster. I'm really excited about this, and everyone was like, well, she doesn't mean it. What a time to be alive.
I kind of felt bad for Olivia Wilde.
Well, she was a cheater, so maybe.
Yeah, she was a cheater,
that's
but
karma
also,
coming.
like, how many male directors have done far worse than cheating?
This is what I mean.
We can't put female directors on a different standard to the men. Like, men have, like, some have convicted of horrible crimes. Let's not talk about Roman Polanski, but, like, if Olivia Wilde cheated on someone, many people have cheated. That doesn't affect the quality of her being a director in any way.
She also she was served papers on stage in front of a whole crowd of people, which I thought was absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, have your arguments in private. Don't do that kind of stuff. I think it was about custody of the kids, wasn't it? So don't do that in public. Keep that private.
Women are always judged differently to men as well for these kind of things. We don't know what's gone on behind closed doors, so we shouldn't judge people. I think we should just look at the quality of the work.
And I liked Booksmart. So.
And I like Booksmart too.
We've heard Booksmart here and fucking loved it.
Yeah, great film.
Katie, what recommendability score out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 3. I know it's quite middling of the road, but it's one of those things where I would say I'd recommend it if you like so-and-so and so-and-so, and if you like films where you're not quite sure where it's going.
Sorry, give me an example of the so-and-so or the so-and-so.
Oh, so if you like Harry Styles, if you like Florence Pugh, if you like Olivia Wilde directing, then yes, this is a film for you. Or if you like things that are Stepford Wife-esque, that kind of theme. So it's more like if you like this, but if you're not into that theme or those actors or this director, then this may not be something for you.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 as well. Like, I do genuinely believe that there is like an interesting film that could have been made from it, but this is just very much kind of style over substance. It's just, this looks great, this sounds great, like, aren't they doing amazing things? Aren't they having loads of sex in it? There's just no...
Look at them go.
There's just no creative direction. And I was a little bit lukewarm on Booksmart. So the jury's out for me on whether Olivia Wilde is a director that I will kind of continue with. But Florence Pugh is so good in this. Like, if it wasn't for her, it would be unwatchable. So yeah, it's just a very baffling film. And we all just know that given the talent involved, that it should have been better. So it's just a little bit disappointing.
Has anyone seen The Studio?
Yes.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Olivia Wilde's got a good episode in The Studio, which is currently on Apple. Well, it will always be on Apple. I don't think Apple TV will relinquish their device-like grip on that stuff. But yeah, she has a really good fun episode in The Studio. So I recommend it if you're interested in seeing Olivia Wilde's directing style from a different perspective, because it's good fun. I'm going to give it a 3 as well, because the kind of person I'll introduce it to would be someone... I'd say, like, do you really like Black Mirror? What do you think of The Truman Show? What do you think of Stepford Wives? I'll say, okay, watch it, but expect it to not make any sense. Because those things, at least, they leave you thinking. When I saw The Truman Show and I left the cinema, I was fucking freaked out. This, I'm just, like, baffled. So I'd say, if you like those things, you have an idea of what should be going on, watch it and let's have a discussion as to what could have been done better. And I'd say if you watch the odd film, you know, people do generally, like, some people watch 5 films a year. I'd be like, look, it looks nice. Watch it.
We don't know any of those people.
Yeah, that's it. We're on our own little bubble. We are generally in that little bubble of, like, people who do, like, Liz sees 8 films a day at the cinema. And,
Not 8 a day. Not 8 a day.
Once some colleagues asked me once what I did of the weekend. I said I went to the cinema and saw a couple of films once. And they were, like, looking at me like I had 3 heads. I was like, you went to cinema twice in the weekend? Who'd you go with? I went by myself. What? What's the matter with you? But to you guys, it's like, oh, of course, good.
Yeah,
sometimes
normal.
There's just lots of films to see.
Yes.
Sometimes too many.
Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah, so those aren't those people. Yeah, 3 and 3. Repeat viewing score. This will be interesting. Liz.
Do you know what? I wanted to watch it again because, you know, as I said, I saw it in the cinema and I was sort of like, oh, that's got some issues. And I wanted to see if it would be better to watch it again. And there actually were things that I enjoyed a little bit more knowing what it was. And they'd put a couple of things in which you don't notice the first time you watch it because you don't know what it is. But there's a scene where one of the guys is admiring Harry Styles' house and he says something like, oh, did you get this from the catalogue? And there are a couple of little things that, oh, you've got this record player, you know, and you can see now that you know what it is and you rewatch it, you're a bit like, oh, they're talking about what they ordered when they were setting up their house for this world. And so even though I don't know if I'd ever watch it again now, maybe in a few years, it was worth watching for this. So maybe like 2.5.
I think there's, again, listen to the Tansy Garden podcast called Going Rogue, because she talks about how initially the one version of the script was quite layered. So you could see Florence Pugh, for example, when she'd wash her hands, she'd wash it like a surgeon, like in a very deliberate way that surgeons wash their hands. Not because... So to people who didn't know, they're just like, she's really particular, but because surgeons wash it in a sequence, it would make then sense that later on when she's revealed to be like a doctor or surgeon, afterwards it's like, okay, that ties to that, that ties to that. I imagine there'll be lots more things like that in there, as kind of Liz was kind of alluding. But then... They
didn't make the final cut for some reason.
Yeah, they didn't make the final cut. So
yeah, they could have put more of that in.
Yeah.
Because like I said, there were just a couple of that I could pick up this time, but there should have been probably a couple more because that would have actually made it more fun on the rewatch, I think, to go, now I know.
So 2.5 for you, Liz. Katie?
I'm going to give it a 2 because I saw it at the cinema. I wanted to see it again, so I bought the Blu-ray.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised, Katie, given didn't you just say that Filmhounds trashed this film?
And it's because I was just like, I want to see it again, but I don't want to pay full price for it, so I got it from CEX. And also I collect physical media, so one more Blu-ray is sort of like, okay, it's part of the collection now. So, and then I watched it again and I was like, okay, I initially wasn't quite sure about this, but there are some parts of it I do appreciate, but it is still a mind bender for the wrong reasons. And then I watched it again for the third time for this podcast. So I feel like I've done my watches.
That's committed.
Maybe again, like in several years' time, if someone says like, hey, have you seen Don't Worry, Darling? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's put that on. So I would give it a 2. So I wouldn't give it a 1, like never again, but like 2, once in a while in a decade, just to go back and say, like, did I miss something? Yeah.
It's just to see, is it as annoying and unsatisfying as what I remembered? And the answer is yes, it is.
I don't think this is going to get a reevaluation. Like Shawshank Redemption, that was kind of a loss when it first came out, wasn't it?
It wasn't big at all, was it?
Helen.
But it was always good, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, so when you picked it, I was really excited to see it again, just to see if it had improved in any way on a rewatch or like, I don't know, there is just something about watching it that is enjoyable, even though it's just so frustratingly baffling. It's 2 hours. I've seen it twice now. I don't know how much more I would watch.
How much more I can take.
But then if someone was like, oh, I want to watch the Florence Pugh film with Harry Styles, do you want to watch it? I'd probably be like, yeah. Like, it's kind of like sweets, isn't it? It's just like, kind of eat them and they look nice and taste nice and give you a bit of a buzz, but they're not really satisfying and you shouldn't really eat them very often. So I don't know, I'm going to give it some points. I'm going to give it a 3.
Holy shit.
It wasn't a painful experience rewatching it, even though it's a mess.
I'm going to have 1.5. I doubt I'll watch it. I think if I do watch it, I'll be happily like on the sofa, dual screening, pending a nap. Small screen score. Liz.
I think because the production design is really nice and it looks beautiful, I think it's definitely a film that is better to be watched in the cinema. I mean, that said, it's not such a cinema film that watching at home it's not 2001 A Space Odyssey or one of those ones where I really think if you don't watch it in the cinema, it's just not nearly as good. So I'm going to say 3. It's perfectly fine to watch at home.
Katie.
I would agree. It's cinematic, but story-wise, you could watch it on a small screen and you wouldn't feel like you're missing anything. So I'd probably give it a 3 as well.
Helen.
I'm going to give it a bit 4. I think definitely like watching the trailer looked really, really amazing when it was all cut up and was like very much like intriguing. It was really great watching it on the big screen. And yeah, it's very cinematic in the way it's been filmed. So I thought.
There's that bit where she got squashed against the window, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was trapped.
I was just like, that didn't still make any sense, did it? No. It's just a cool thing to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is a cool thing to happen. And in terms of this being a simulation and there being glitches in the way her mind's interpreting this virtual world, none of those things actually make any sense.
Like, did she fall out of bed and fell on the floor or something and was squashed to her face? Is she trapped in the real world?
Yeah, didn't pay off. It's just a cool visual.
Yeah, it's a cool visual. I think you're right. It doesn't mean anything.
It really ties in with like the Truman Show vibes, and the Truman Show is great to watch in the cinema. So I think this potentially skew my score a bit. 4. Let's go for 4. Why not? Engagement score, Liz.
So this is, do you want to keep watching? Is the way I interpret it.
Yeah. How engaged are you? Are you double screening? Are you waiting to go? Are you waiting until it finishes to go to the toilet? Are you happy to jump out whenever?
I was pretty engaged, not going to lie. I was interested. I think it's because I enjoyed being in that world because it looked really pretty. And I think it depends if you were into these things, but I really do love the production design and the costuming. And I spent a lot of time looking at the beautiful clothes. And so inhabiting that world, I enjoyed a lot. So I can be easily distracted at home, but I wasn't really watching this. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Nice. Katie.
So I think I'd probably give it a 4 as well, because I have to know. And if I have to know, then I will continue watching it. Because I feel like I had to keep on knowing, even when the credits rolled. And I was like, I still need to know. But yeah, it had my attention.
So you're saying you're like hyper engaged. You're still waiting for the payoff.
Still waiting. Yeah, still waiting.
We're all still waiting.
I was engaged in it, so I wouldn't get up and leave. Or, I'd be like, I need to know, I need to carry on watching, I need to be focused because I may miss something. Because throughout the film, it feels like there is stuff that you could miss very easily. So a second watch, a third watch is sort of like, okay, there's that. So yeah, I was engaged. But yeah, I am still waiting for the payoff. It's true. So 4, yeah.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm also going to give it a 4 because it's very much like, okay, I'm watching. So this has happened. What's next? Like, when is the thing happening? And you're kind of like you said, Katie, you're waiting for the things to connect into place, and they don't happen. But if you watch it half-heartedly, then you'll be even more confused because you'll be like, hang on, I've got to rewind it because there's no way we'd get from here to here. So even though it is just baffling, it is very engaging because you're just like, what does this mean? How does this connect? Why are they doing that? Why is that person there? Why is that person not there? How has he died so fast? Oh, she's running with no shoes on. All of these things are keeping me engaged.
And your score?
4.
I'm going to go higher than you, 4.5.
Wow.
Again, it's just like, okay, we know, I've seen Black Mirror, seen these mind-bending films, psychological thrillers. You're expecting a reveal to happen to explain stuff. So you're like, okay, I know what this happens. If I miss a thing, okay, maybe I'll miss it on this watch, then I'll come back and watch it again. But like yourself, Kate, I'm still like waiting for that bit. And you have lots of times, all these insets where you look at the pupils, like a random eye dilating. And then you have the people, you have the Busby Berkeley, like ladies in a circle doing stuff with the legs. You know, okay, what's this mean then? Okay, good, interesting. And then you have like the blood splats, which was on a white background. Okay, that's good. This must mean something. Sure. Okay, fine. Oh, nothing. Okay, good. God,
I'd forgotten about the dancing ladies.
Good.
What were they about?
So, okay, thanks for that. So, I mean, it got me engaged because I was like, this is going to pay off. So, like yourself, Katie, I'm still waiting. That gives us an overall score of 3.25 000. Better than I thought it was going to be, honestly. So, guys, do follow us on Instagram. We're over there at Flixwatcher Pod, and look out for a post saying something similar to, hey, we're watching a film. Come and check it out. Come and give us a review. It's better than that. I don't have the Instagram text in front of me. What does it say, Helen? You wrote it this time.
Oh, we're reviewing Don't Worry Darling with Liz and Katie. Have you seen it? Tell us your review and some stars for a shout out.
So you said we got a couple. What did we get?
So this is from Fundamentals Pod. The movie I refer to as Stepford Wives but less coherent, 2.5 stars.
Fair play.
So I've got another one here. Seemingly unrelated pod. Needs a new editor. It felt like I was watching scenes out of order. And yeah, they've given it a 2-ish. So
2-ish.
Flow's good, but the story felt ham-fisted. Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah, a little, not quite as generous as we were, but the same kind of sentiment, I think.
So, Liz, Katie, where can we find you guys online? And we'll say goodbye to the listeners.
So I go Liz Slade on everything, SLAYED.
Ah, nice.
So just to be awkward, I've actually got numerous Instagram handles, but I'll give you the film-related one. It's at @SheLikesMovies_. That's where I do all the film stuff.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure. This is my first time watching this, so thank you for bringing it to me. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher Podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.